Expediter Services provided one of the highlights during the 2022 Expedite Expo when ES hosted the annual Insight Dinner at the Expo, an event that brings together independent contract drivers, owner-operators, fleet owners, and others attending the Expo who are exploring what the ES community has to offer. The Insight Dinner at the Expo also features motor carriers and vendors within the ES community, as well as ES program participants who are attending the Expedite Expo. Once again in 2022, the Insight Dinner at the Expo drew a packed house for an evening of good food and great conversation. For this edition of the Insight Dinner at the Expo, Jeff Tacker from the ES leadership team served as the evening's Master of Ceremonies. Jeff is the Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer, and Chief Commercial Officer for ES. And through this video, we will be sharing a collection of highlights from Jeff's remarks during the Insight Dinner at the Expo.
We want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us tonight. We're so grateful. We've been blessed, and one of the blessings is the fact that you all have taken time out of your schedules at this show to come spend time with us, to get to see friends that you've had in the past, to get to make new friends, to get to enjoy each other in this conversation. They say that a family that prays together stays together, and I think people that eat together stay together. So it allows us to have comfort and allows us to spend time with each other and really get to know one another. It's a good thing. So inside of expediting the community, we were just having that conversation. It's a very neat atmosphere that people care about each other, and even when you have competitors, if there is that terminology, you can still enjoy conversation and networking opportunities. So George Washington Carver had a quote that I like to say and start off things with. He says, "Where there is no vision, there is no hope. Where there is no vision, there is no hope." Proverbs 29 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, the people perish." Genuine vision of a better future is essential in creating a better life. So I say that most people that came here tonight, you came here looking for something. You came to the Expedite Expo looking for something better, looking for something more. Well, what I hopefully tonight, you'll get a glimpse of a vision to help you be more successful. And I hope what you get a vision of and get a view of tonight is the fact that all these things have been put together and all this has been brought together to take place to make sure you understand that it's all about you. We hope you have an opportunity to gather some information, to do things that can better your business and to better your life for you and your family. And here we are in 2022. And y'all heard me mention earlier the two carriers are sitting in this room. Panther Premium Logistics, a service of ArcBest, FedEx Custom Critical. 2022, from 1980 to 1992 to 2022. They're still here and they're still standing strong. And we're thankful that they are. And we're thankful that we have the opportunity to service those companies. Now you're saying, well, Jeff, this dinner's tonight about you, about the independent contract drivers, the owner-operators, and the fleet owners. And that's factual. But to do that, you have to have a motor carrier to operate at. You've got to have them. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands what we're looking at, what we're doing, and why these things are getting done that way. The idea of the Expedite Expo, and I'm sure Mr. Joe will share that in a moment, the idea of what we're doing here tonight is to make sure people understand the overarching picture, to make sure you understand what we're here for, to make sure you get a vision or a glimpse to see what's taking place. And when you get that vision, you can have some hope. Because I know it's tough on the road. We know things are difficult. There's no question about it. Things have been good and bad. Trucking and transportation is cyclical. It comes up and down, just like the ocean. The waves are flowing in and out. But look around. Certain motor carriers are still functioning. Certain one of y'all are still functioning. We've had people start with one truck and grow to 100 trucks, plus trucks. We've had other people to decide they want to drive and continue to drive because that's what they wanted to do. So there is an opportunity for everyone in this room, whether you're a independent contract driver, owner-operator, or fleet owner, whether you're a motor carrier, whether you're a vendor. There's an opportunity for everybody in this room to make sure you get a glimpse of the vision that's taking place in this industry and for this community to know that what you can do is have something better for you and your family. So we know it's tough. There's wars and rumors of wars. There's diseases. There's all these things taking place. We got the spot market crashing. We've got a lot of things happening. We'll get into some of that as we go on. But I just want to make sure that y'all understand that 2022, the Insight Dinner, tonight, the Expedite Expo, the show floor, we had people speaking this morning. I know the Sheltons and different ones spoke this morning at some conferences. Everything's being done to make sure people has information. Now, we're for-profit business. I don't know, I'm looking around and Miss Ellen with Women in Trucking is not here tonight, so I don't know of anybody in this room that's not for profit. Yeah, I see some people raising their hand. I didn't say not making any profit, I said not for profit. And if you're not making any profit, I think we have a way maybe to talk about some of that. Our company was founded in 2006 by Paul Williams and Jason Williams. And Paul is our chairman of the board and our CEO, and Jason is our president. And neither one of them could make it this weekend, but their thoughts are with us, and just want to make sure y'all knew that they were thankful to each of y'all for being here to share dinner with our company. But we were founded in 2006, and the plan was for our company to be a corporate provider of capacity in the expediting segment. So that's what they looked at. Paul and Jason had a vision. They saw that there was, it was sort of fragmented as far as capacity provider, the equipment provider in expediting. So they wanted to be the corporate provider of capacity in the expedited segment. We have since expanded into the general trucking market, and we're a pretty significant player in less than truckload and truckload as well. But tonight, we're only going to be talking about the expedited segment and expediting, because that was, as I said it before, our first love, and it still is a wonderful, wonderful segment of transportation. It's a small segment of the transportation compared to the overall general trucking market, but it's a very good segment of the transportation, and it's very viable, and in my opinion, it's a very needed segment of the transportation. So I just want to make sure that we went over those things, but we started our company in 2006 as Expediter Services. And then we're still Expediter Services. We've just changed our logos over the years as we've moved and grown and evolved into different segments of the industry. But you see us, we went from Expediter Services to ES with Expediter Services beneath it. And then we had Success in Trucking powered by ES when we made the move into general truck market. Because as most of y'all know, expediting, it is a unique platform, and it is a viable platform, and it is a needed platform. And the people that's in here spending the time to go out over the road 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus weeks at a time and be away from their family, it's not an easy deal. But it's a little bit different lifestyle, and the ones that's been in general trucking and moved into expediting understand that. For those of you in the room that's not been in general trucking nor been in expediting, you're picking a good segment. It's a good place to be. We've got some good motor carriers, and you're in a good place. And today, what our company looks like, we started with a bunch of different platforms to make sure that we could give access to help people. Once again, it's all about you. To make it all about you, we've got to have services, tools, benefits, and advantages to help you do better in your business, to try to make you be successful in trucking. So we have ES Insurance, we've got ES Management Services, and a lot of people that are here that's running under our owner-operator program know that. We got Expediter Equipment Finance, and we've got Expediter Truck Sales, and we've got our Advantage platform. And I'm going to get into all of our simply the best advantages in a moment. But when you know that you need a truck, you got to have financing of that equipment. So we started, after we had our own equipment, we started in 06 with probably about 8 or 10 trucks. We started it, the first trucks were signed on at Panther. They were over there and they were running and we were doing good with them. They started looking around what some other options was, and Todd's in here. Todd Ferguson came to Memphis and visited Paul and Jason, and then we ordered, I think, 100 trucks, and we started adding trucks on at FedEx and Panther. Our company started expanding into that platform, and that's what we were doing. And then we turned around and we realized we were looking at it from the truck level up. And anybody that's had any conversations with me over the years probably realize that what we try to do is not look at it from the motor carrier level down. We try to look at it from the truck level up to make sure that the people in the truck are taken care of, to make sure that the owners of the truck and the operators of the truck have access to things to help them drive their business. And what we've realized is you've got to be able to produce the revenue, and then when you produce the revenue, you want to hold on to the money that you have, and so you want to reduce the cost or reduce the expenses. So what we were able to do over the years as we've grown is put together a program that helps people and takes some frustration out of the cab of the truck when possible. And that's not always easy because there's a lot of frustration over the road, and we understand that. But we want to do that, and we want to take some financial pressure off the people by giving them access to a discount program, fuel shop tires, and insurance. We want to be the low-cost provider. And I was sharing with somebody just earlier today, I believe, that our discount and fuel alone, like last week in the Southeast region, was $1.07 a gallon. So if anybody's in here that's not with us, anybody in here not utilizing our fuel platform, you need to be. $1.07 was the average. 93 cents was a national average discount. We were $1.01 in the Northeast. We were 83 cents in the West Coast. But that's a large discount. And all that discount is savings to the bottom line in your truck and in your operation. So whether you're driving the truck, whether you're owning the truck, whatever it is, there's the discounts. And that's what you need to be having access to, because if you're an independent contract driver, you're either paying for the fuel or the fleet owner you're driving for is paying for the fuel. If you're an owner-operator, you're driving and paying for the fuel. And if you're a fleet owner, they've either set it up so the driver's paying for the fuel or the fleet owner's paying for the fuel. But in every aspect, the key word of that is paying for the fuel. And so what you want to do is drive the cost out the best you can. So we have fuel, we have national discounts on tires, we have insurance. We have been able to get involved with some insurance producers, not agents, producers. And so there's only 2 or 3 major producers in the United States, and we've been able to help get that platform inside to bring physical damage, non-trucking liability, and occupational accident insurance from the truck level side. And then we're also able to start, and I'll expand just a little side note, helping some motor carriers with their auto liability policy, because we have motor carriers that were running into trouble finding access to auto liability. And so that's a major thing that goes on. But we have shop discounts. We've got national pricing at a lot of the major shops. But we have legal services, and our legal services, they're gone now, but TVC Pro Driver is who we recognize with that. We have a third-party safety company, and of course, we don't mandate the use of these things. I hope what you're going to see is get a view and a vision of all these things that's being brought together. So I don't want to bore you down into the weeds, but I want to make sure that you understand that all the things that are put together is to help you be more successful in trucking. We have some accounting services. I mentioned Colton at Equinox, so he can, the trucker CFO, he'll be glad to help you. He's got a booth out there. Make sure you go by there. We've got truck sales, so we have allotments of new trucks. limited supply, but we do have allotments of new trucks, whether it be in a straight truck or a tractor. That is our primary. And if we could get all of those from them, I'm sure that's what we'd be doing. But there's been supply chain issues. We have, inside of truck sales, we also have equipment finance. So when we first started, we had drivers, independent contract drivers in our trucks, and we knew we had to go through a migration, or we had to go through an evolution to be able to expand our offerings and our services. And so we had these drivers in the trucks, and they said, man, we want to own and operate our own piece of equipment, or we want to start and be a fleet owner ourselves. Is there a possible way you can help us? And so we started providing the capacity, then we started providing the services. So we took the things that we were able to put together, fuel, shop tires, insurance, all these packages together, and we started bundling them up and offering them to people that wanted to drive and own their own trucks and grow their own fleet. So that's what drove it. It was you that had the request. When I say you, the grouping that had the request saying we need some more stuff so that we can do what we want to do, which is own and operate our own trucks. Some people want to drive, and that's great. Some people want to own and operate, that's great. Some people want to become a fleet owner, and that's great. Wherever you want to do, that's what you should do. Ownership and fleet ownership is not for everybody. Driving might not be for everybody. You might want to be a fleet owner and don't want to drive. You might want to own and operate. One's not greater than the other. I'm telling you, you've got to have a truck, and you got to have an operator of that truck, and then you got to have some business platform of that truck. So it just depends on what your desires are and what you want to do. And I would recommend that each of you search your heart and the desires of your heart and do what you want to do. If you love driving, drive and do it to the best you can do. If you want to be an owner-operator and run one truck, that's what you should do. If you want to become a fleet owner, that's what you should do. So those are the things that we were able to put together, and we didn't put them. When I say put together, I don't want that to come across in an odd way like we think we're somebody. And I was telling Joe earlier, and I was telling Steve at FedEx and Frank at Panther, when you get up here and speak, just be yourself. And I don't want this to be a formal conversation. We want to make sure that people understand that we're just real people doing real things, trying to really help somebody. And if we can just give you a glimpse or a vision, then you can have some hope. Because when I say hope, I'm not acting like people are desperate in here. But we all know what's going on. There's things everywhere. And if you're going to have to work somewhere and you want to be in trucking, why not be in expediting? If you're going to be in expediting, why not do what you want to do? And if you're going to be there, why not be with the motor carriers and the vendors that's represented in this room? And we need the Expedite Expo. Everybody needs to keep supporting this community, because if we have this community, it can build up and get exposure. And then when we get exposure, we can attract more people into it, because there is a need for it. So I just want to make sure that as I tie all this around, it's not necessarily to sit up here and talk or come across as arrogant or braggadocious about our company, but what it is to come across about is the need that we have in the expedite industry, and expediting is needed, in my opinion. I don't think it's going away. I think there's ups and downs. I think there's issues. There's always things that can be improved, but it's not going away, in my opinion. Why the ES community? Well, first of all, we have a slogan that says never stand alone. So if you're going to be out there operating, you can be operating on your own. You could be doing whatever you want to do, or you could be inside of a neighborhood or a community that gives you access to fuel, shop, tires, insurance, legal service, accounting services, safety programs, truck sales, and financing. So there's other people that do individual segments of things that we do. But our company is a one-stop shop, and we have it all under one company. We're a service company. We are not a motor carrier. Just to make sure there's clarity in that conversation. We don't sell freight, broker freight, or dispatch freight. We do not have an authority. Every truck that we service, and we work for them, they don't work for us, whether they're an independent contract driver, an owner-operator, or a fleet owner, every one of that category is running under a motor carrier's authority. And our program in expediting supports FedEx Custom Critical and Panther Premium Logistics. We do have a couple smaller carriers that we're testing some programs with, but they're not in the room tonight, and it's not in that conversation. We're in general trucking, not in this conversation. I'm just trying to keep a clear, concise thought of what we're looking at and what we're doing. So we had this concept of never stand alone. So why would you do something on your own when you need help? We all need help. You know, if one can put 1,000 to flight and two can put 10,000, why don't you realize that you need help? So it's better to be involved with people and be associated with people and be inside of a community that can help you. It's a community of support. And all the things that we've done has been set up to drive profits directly to the bottom line of the truck. We want to help you increase your revenue, decrease your expenses, therefore you've got a bigger pile at the end, whether you're the driver of the truck, the owner of the truck, or the fleet owner of the truck. Now that's easy to say and hard to do. Easy to say and hard to do, because there's all kinds of inputs that go on. You've got lots of things taking place, and it's hard to keep people focused in the right way. But what I can tell you, it's easier to be focused when you're inside a group, and when you're inside, and when you have a platform, and when you have a support structure that can help you do those things. So, as I showed earlier, we have simply the best advantages, in my opinion. Nowhere else that I'm aware of is doing what we're doing all in one place. It's not, and I want to make sure I'm clear with this, it's not that the motor carriers don't have the knowledge to do it. It's not that the motor carriers don't have the resources to do it, but there's a business model. And as I said earlier, most of the equipment type that's used in expediting, in this segment of expediting, is straight trucks and tractors. And most of the labor type, maybe not all, but most of the labor type is with independent contractors. Well, we can't say that we can get everybody in here a new truck, because they're just not out there right now. But what I'll tell you is that if anybody's got access to equipment in the expediting segment, if you got access to used equipment, I'd say we've got the access to more than anybody that I'm aware of. I don't know of anybody else that's got the equipment type and the availability of the equipment and the future availability of the equipment that we have. And we're not a truck dealer. We have truck sales. But when you look at the economy, it's impossible to have a conversation. It's impossible to have things take place and not have a conversation on the economy. There's unknowns, but there's always been unknowns. There's people who are unsure, but there's always been people unsure. There's unsurety. There's always been things that's been unsure. But what I can tell you is that some things in the economy is real, and we know it. So I got an input from a large equity investment firm of Wall Street at the end of June, and this one, without scaring anybody, said there's a 35% recession probability. 35%. So that means 65% not, but 35%. And that was based upon some different performance stock evaluations and specifically in transportation segment. Now you always got underperformers and you got overperformers inside that segment. And you've always got asset base that carries different levels of expenses versus non-asset base, which carries different levels of expenses. But a 35%, we all understand what a 35% recession probability means. So we've been dealing, we got the consumer index out, last week is 9.1%, I think. Highest has been 35, 40 years. So people talk about dealing with inflation. Well, I talked to another person that's over a considerably amount of money that they invest, and they had told me that all the indicators they're getting is for what we call stagflation. I know y'all, if anybody's watching the news and hearing things, we're at stagflation. And what you'll see there is where the revenue side stalls, gets stagnant, but the expense side continues to rise. So let that sink in. The revenue side stalls, and the expense side continues to rise. So how do you combat that? You can run and hide. You get out of trucking. I don't think anybody in here is going to do that. Or you could turn around. I seen somebody say me. But anyway, they're kidding. Oh, I got you. But anyway, they can. The other side of that is what you would need to do is find a way to do the best that you can do. Find a way to try to increase your revenue and find a way to try to decrease your expenses. You need to be at a good place. And what's taking place in the freight, because you talk about the economy, you know what's taking place in the freight. And I'm not up here, I don't think I know it all. There's people in this room that know a lot more than I do about it. So I can read and I can try to regurgitate some things that I pick up on. But when you start looking at the freight, moving from goods to services, so therefore there's a reduction. The spot rate market is following that trend. Y'all are seeing that take place. The spot rate market is falling. But since the spot rate market's falling, y'all heard us say that we're not a motor carrier. We don't sell freight, broker freight, or dispatch freight, and we're not out on the open market. So we're not out there on load boards trying to get open freight. We function, and everybody that's in our program, all of the equipment under our program, whether it be the ES fleet or the EMS fleet, everyone functions under a specific ICOA at a contracted rate at a specific motor carriers. FedEx Custom Critical, Panther Premium Logistics. I'm telling you that if they would get up and talk about it, I'm not trying to ask them to, but if they would, and I know they have, that people are starting to see people run from the open spot rate market and try to run back into contracted rates to be protected. That's what's taking place. We have a different partnership that we're in, and we've seen 4,000 people move from a small 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 truck ownership that was running under their own authority. We've seen them run back in and start disappear from that segment of the market, looking for a safe haven inside of a motor carrier that's got contracted rates, because you're on a contracted rate. So I just want to make sure there's different models to be an owner-operator. You can be an owner-operator and have your own authority. We're not talking about that model. But you can be an owner-operator and run under the authority of a motor carrier. FedEx Custom Critical, Panther Premium Logistics. And I want to tell you, as tough as things are, and there's other motor carriers, I'm not talking about them because they're not in our program and not here tonight. But the stuff's tough. Life's tough. It's hard on the road. I don't want to try to act like that it's not. But when I look across this room, I see survivors. I see people that can lace up their boots, gird up their loins, and continue to press and move forward. We've seen people that's come through things. We see people that's going to continue to go through things. But what I will tell you is you need to have yourself in a community. You need to be linked in with the group. You need to make sure you're doing everything you can do. Pennies make dollars. So you got to produce the revenue. But when you produce the revenue, you've got to turn around and drive down your expenses. And there's only so much things you can cut out. But you should be cutting out what you can cut out. So you're looking at the economy and what's taking place there. I still think it's viable. And if you're going to be in trucking, there's no better time and no better place, with no better partners and no better community, with no better motor carriers than what we have in this room represented tonight. So I would tell you, if you want to do it, do it. If you're already doing it, keep doing it. Just make sure you're keeping your eye on the ball, keeping your focus on your revenue production, making sure that you're driving your expenses out of that. When you start talking about labor and recruitment, so whether you're an independent contract driver, an owner-operator, or a fleet owner, if you're looking for somebody to come in and work with you and help you and support you in your business endeavors, and I do view a driver is running his own business, an owner-operator running their own business, and a fleet owner is running their own business. They're just some different business types in the same industry, but you're running your own business. Nobody that works for the motor carriers we're with are company drivers. They're not employees. Our company works for them. And if you've got fleet owners in here, I'll probably tell you they'd say the same thing, that they work for the drivers in the truck. They bend over backwards to try to help and keep and make sure that they're taken care of, because it's very delicate, intricate part of the business. You could have a truck, you could be at a good motor carrier, they could have freight, no driver, you're in trouble. Everybody understands that. So the driver, and I'm telling you, they're near and dear to our heart, and they're near and dear to the hearts of the people in this room, whether they're the driver, the owner-operator, or the fleet owner. And we've got wonderful fleet owners sitting inside of this room too. So whether you operate under one of our trucks or whether you're running with a fleet owner, you need to be with people in our program. And here's why. Because they've got access to a community, they've got access to information, they've got access to support, they've got access to services, tools, benefits, and advantages that give you the ability to be stable, more stable. It doesn't mean that there's not problems. It doesn't mean that there won't be issues. But you can get knocked down by yourself, but if you got somebody that you can stand along with and you've got a support structure with you, it just makes it a lot easier. And that's why we need to keep supporting the Expedite Expo. That's why we need to be supporting the community of people that's out there. That's why we need to be supporting this community that's in here, to make sure that all of us hanging there together, standing there together. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that labor in the truck or recruitment to the truck is a very tough position. Don't want to understate it. Don't want to overstate it. I just want to state it. It is. But I will also tell you that if you're going to do it, why take a chance and be at a motor carrier that might not have your best interest at heart, whether they say you think they do or not, run at an operation that they might not have the equipment type that suits you and satisfies you, or be at a owner operator or a fleet owner that they're not having their business set up to help you be more secure and more stable and more safe. So you need to be at those places. So whether you're with us directly or with us through the fleet owners, make sure you get with us. And I hope you understood that as I started, without vision, there is no hope. But I want you to leave here knowing there is hope. And there is a community. And there are people. And there are programs. And there are things that we can do to help you. We can't fix everything. Nobody in this room can fix everything. But I'm telling you that there is hope, and it is a good industry, and it is a good segment, and we do have a good community.